Welcome to Murder, Mystery and Crime, where we explore true crime cases with care and respect. These stories are shared for educational and awareness purposes only, never to sensationalize or disrespect the victims and their families. Israel Keyes was born in Richmond, Utah, on January 7, 1978, the second of 10 children of Heidi Keyes and John Jeffrey Keyes. His parents lived in Torrance, California, and were members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, LDS Church, and his father had served a church mission in Germany. Keyes and his siblings were homeschooled until 1983. After leaving the LDS Church, Keyes' father moved the family to a remote plot of land north of Colville, Washington, in Stevens County when Keyes was 5 years old. Isolated from society, the family lived in a one-room cabin without electricity or running water on Rocky Creek Road. In Colville, the family attended services at a church called the Ark, which subscribed to white supremacist Christian identity ideology. Keyes later described the Ark as practicing a lifestyle similar to the Amish in avoiding many conveniences of modern life. During this period of attending the Ark, the Keyes family befriended the neighboring family of Chavai Kehoe, who was later convicted for a 1996 triple murder. The Keyes family eventually left the Ark for another Colville congregation, the Christian Israel Covenant Church, which taught white supremacist British Israelist doctrine. Keyes later alleged this church to have been militia-like. For years, some of the Keyes children were forced to sleep in a tent due to their cabin's small size and made to hunt their food, chop firewood, and work on local farms to support the family. As a hobby, Keyes hunted anything with a heartbeat. He freely admitted to skinning a deer alive to his peers at the Christian Israel Covenant Church. As a result, Keyes was ostracized by other children, with one girl recounting that Keyes' presence made my skin crawl. As a youth, Keyes, who stood 6 feet 2 inches at 1.88 meters tall by age 14, admitted to shooting at neighbors' houses with his BB gun and starting fires in the woods. He also broke into houses with another youth, who subsequently avoided Keyes after witnessing him shoot an animal. On one occasion, Keyes stole several guns from his neighbor's residence and was forced to apologize by his parents after they discovered the cache. Keyes would also sell stolen guns to local adults. Around this time, Keyes' parents provided shelter to personal friends. In the presence of their son and daughter and Keyes' sister, Keyes tied a cat to a tree with a parachute cord and gored it with a .22 revolver. The cat then began circling the tree before crashing into it and vomiting. Keyes allegedly chuckled before noting that the boy, who later informed his father, had vomited in response to the incident. Keyes had an epiphany in which he felt that he was different from his peers, who ran away from him. Upon this realization, he kept his increasingly antisocial behavior to himself. In addition, Keyes' mother began to notice some troubling signs in Keyes during this period, when he began tuning into various radio stations and different things. By his teenage years, Keyes had become a skilled carpenter, building his first wooden cabin for his family at age 16. He also worked for a Colville contractor from 1995 to 1997. Around this time, Keyes kept a journal including biblical quotations, documenting daily sins for which he felt shame, such as lusting after his girlfriend. Later, the family relocated to Smyrna, Maine, where they collected sap for maple syrup production in a mostly Amish community. Due to their mother's religious zealousness, the Keyes children were forced to hide from their parents to watch movies with friends and were forbidden to learn musical instruments. Sometime during this period, Keyes renounced his Christian faith. Keyes declared his atheism to his parents, both of whom he had previously made tireless and constant efforts to please, after an intense argument. This led them to evict Keyes for blasphemy. They then instructed his younger siblings, who looked up to Keyes, to never have contact with him again. Keyes then became interested in Satanism and planned to commit a ritualistic murder. In the summer of 1997 or 1998, Keyes sexually assaulted a teenage girl, estimated age 14 to 18, who had been tubing with her friends down the Deschutes River in Maupin, Oregon. Keyes admitted that he stalked her from a tree line before threatening the girl with a knife and very violently sexually assaulting her. Originally planning to murder her as part of a satanic ritual, Keyes let her go in the river tube he had abducted her from. "I was too timid. I wasn't violent enough," he told investigators. "I made up my mind I was never going to let that happen again." On July 9, 1998, Keyes relocated and enlisted in the United States Army in the state of New York, where he served as a specialist in Alpha Company, 1st Battalion, 5th Infantry, 25th Infantry Division. He passed a month-long preliminary course for United States Army Rangers training. He was stationed at Fort Lewis and Fort Hood, also spending some time abroad. While stationed in Sinai, Egypt, Keyes befriended several soldiers. Informing one of them that he would like to kill him, while at Fort Lewis, Keyes served on a mortar team. Former Army friends of Keyes have noted his quiet demeanor and habit of keeping to himself. On weekends, he was reported to drink heavily, consuming entire bottles of his favorite drink, Wild Turkey Bourbon. In February 2001, Keyes was arrested in Thurston County for driving under the influence. Pursuant to a plea agreement, he was fined $350. Keyes was also a fan of the hip-hop duo Insane Clown Posse and displayed posters of the musical act in the barracks. Keyes was awarded an Army Achievement Medal for his service as a gunner and assistant gunner from December 1998 to July 2001. He was then honorably discharged and relocated to Near Bay, Washington. In 2000, Keyes became involved with a woman living on the Washington Marker Reservation. The next year, their daughter, whose name hasn't been made public, was born. In July 2001, Keyes went to live with the mother of his child after being honorably discharged from the Army. He worked for the Marker Tribal Council in Near Bay from 2001 to 2007. In 2007, Keyes moved to Alaska to live with a nurse practitioner he'd been dating and brought his daughter along with him. That same year, he started his own business, Keyes Construction, where he worked as a handyman, contractor, and construction worker. He was generally regarded as a skilled and trustworthy worker, but several female customers reported Keyes exhibited brief facial expressions or dark moods that made them uncomfortable. Keyes also had ties to New York. He owned 10 acres, 4.0 hectares, and a dilapidated cabin in the town of Constable. After his arrest, Keyes expressed his desire to prevent his daughter from suffering due to his actions. "I want my kid to have a chance to grow up. And she's in a safe place now, she's not going to see any of this. I want her to have a chance to grow up and not have all this hanging over her head." Israel Keyes was a highly organized and cold-blooded predator who traveled across the United States for over a decade, targeting random individuals in remote or vulnerable settings while carefully avoiding detection by using a calculated system that involved burying pre-made crime kits years in advance. These kits, often hidden near future scenes, contain tools like firearms with silencers, zip ties, duct tape, gloves, shovels, and cash, allowing him to carry out his actions without needing to buy suspicious materials nearby. One of the most disturbing incidents occurred in Anchorage, Alaska, on February 1, 2012, when he abducted 18-year-old Samantha Koenig at gunpoint from the coffee kiosk where she worked, forced her into his truck while pretending it was a robbery, and took her to a shed behind his home. There, he held her overnight, assaulted her, and ended her life the following morning through physical means that were never fully disclosed. He then went on a cruise with his girlfriend and daughter, leaving her remains in the shed, and after returning, staged a chilling ransom photo by sewing her eyelids open and applying makeup to make her appear conscious, placing a newspaper beside her body to create the illusion she was still alive. He sent this image to her family and used her debit card to withdraw money from ATMs across several states, which ultimately led to his capture. In another shocking case in June 2011, Keyes traveled from Alaska to Chicago, rented a car, and drove to Essex, Vermont, where he had buried a kit 2 years earlier. He broke into the home of Bill and Lorraine Currier in the middle of the night, restrained them, took them to an abandoned farmhouse, and ended their lives separately. Bill threw a firearm at Lorraine after an assault, then concealed their remains under debris in the basement, where they were never found. He admitted to other acts of extreme violence, including one in 2009 involving a woman believed to be Deborah Feldman, who went missing from New Jersey, as well as multiple people in Washington state, including 2 between 2001 and 2005 and another couple between 2005 and 2006 whose remains were reportedly left in a lake, weighed down to remain undiscovered. He also described an early incident in the late 1990s in Oregon, where he abducted a teenage girl at knife point, assaulted her, and intended to take her life but ultimately let her go. He claimed to have stalked other individuals in various states, prepared to act but choosing not to at the last moment. Key supported his violent actions through burglaries, arson, and at least 2 confirmed bank robberies, using the money to travel and maintain his double life. He was extremely cautious, never using credit cards, always paying in cash, renting cars, and avoiding digital footprints, and modeled his behavior on his understanding of criminal profiling, allowing him to operate undetected for years. His arrest on March 13, 2012, came after authorities tracked ATM withdrawals using Koenig's debit card across multiple states. They pulled him over in Lufkin, Texas, and discovered her card, her phone, cash-stained by an anti-theft dye pack, and a disguise kit in his vehicle. He was extradited to Alaska, where he confessed to the Koenig and Currier cases and claimed responsibility for at least 11 total victims, though he refused to name most of them. He cooperated sporadically with investigators, at times making chilling remarks or bargaining over what he would reveal. While awaiting trial at the Anchorage Correctional Complex, he attempted to escape in May 2012 using a sharpened object to tamper with his restraints during a court hearing but was subdued. On December 2, 2012, he was found deceased in his jail cell after using a sharp edge hidden in a pencil to cut himself and attempting to restrict his breathing with a bedsheet. In his cell, authorities discovered a disturbing note referencing chaos and destruction, soaked in blood, as well as drawings of 11 skulls and a pentagram, interpreted by investigators as representing his claimed victims. To this day, only 3 of those cases, Samantha Koenig and the Currier couple, have been conclusively linked to him, while the identities and stories of the others remain unknown, leaving behind a legacy of unanswered questions and one of the most disturbing patterns of organized, cross-country violence in recent history. Thank you for taking the time to learn about this case. If you found this content informative, please consider liking, subscribing, and sharing to help spread awareness. Take care and stay safe until next time.